In this two-part video, I recommend 5 novels for you to read. Here is part 2 in which I cover 2 novels, one set in Sweden, another in Nigeria. Each one has given me an insight into characters, countries and cultures that I have no first-hand experience of. Each one has enriched my English and indeed my life. I became a voracious reader at an early age. We had a room in our old house that was called the library. Indeed, that's what it was. A room lined with floor-to-ceiling shelves bursting with books of every kind. I must say that my workload and social media have cut into my reading time, which I regret. But when I do sink my teeth into a good novel, the experience is far richer than what I get from consuming any other form of content. So let's discuss a couple of good books, shall we? Later in the video, I'll tell you about the first novel ever written. But now let's travel to Nigeria and Sweden and meet some interesting people. Half of a Yellow Sun is the second novel of Nigerian author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I love this book as well as her first one, Purple Hibiscus. I wasn't sure which one to feature here. Finally, I went with Half of a Yellow Sun because of the wide sweep of its story and its treatment of the difficult theme of the Nigerian Civil War, which it brings to life with both mind and heart. Most of us rarely read books set in Africa and know little about the lives, loves and struggles of its people. This 2006 novel takes us beyond the hard facts and figures of a war and tells a powerful human story. The author makes us care about the characters and through them gives us an understanding and appreciation of the life of a nation that we are so unfamiliar with in real life. Building connections to people, happenings, times and geographies which we have no first-hand experience of is for me one of the key roles of a novel. The Nigerian Civil War was called the Biafran War because it was a war between the government and the short-lived secessionist state Biafra. The novel is set in the years before and during this war, and its story is told through the lives of the twin daughters of a business magnate, a university professor, a houseboy and an English writer, the only foreign character, who comes to Nigeria to explore tribal art. There are actually many themes in Half of a Yellow Sun. Of course, war is the overarching one. A war of identity politics among different tribes. Identity politics of a different sort from what there is in India. Then there is the theme of England and other Western powers having a hand in this war. There is also the theme of biased Western journalism. The English character discovers the rule of Western journalism. 100 dead black people equal 1 dead white person. And while this is not a feminist novel, it is a story of strong female characters as well. Half of a Yellow Sun is a brutal yet hauntingly evocative story. You will not forget the characters. You will care about them. And what happened in faraway Nigeria will no longer seem like a distant incident that is irrelevant to your life. But read Purple Hibiscus too, and other books by African authors. Because as Adichie said in a wonderful speech she gave on the danger of a single story, you must get multiple perspectives about a place and a people by reading multiple books about it. Otherwise, your view could become rather warped. She narrated an incident where an American told her, based on the traits of one character in Purple Hibiscus, that it was such a shame that Nigerian men were all abusers. Adichie retorted by saying that she recently read the book American Psycho and it was such a shame that all young Americans were serial murderers. I wonder if her sarcasm found its mark. Only after I finished reading A Man Called Ove by Fredrik Backman did I come to know that it was originally written in Swedish. It is so beautifully rendered in English by Henning Koch, and the story is so universal, while at the same time unique, it does not strike you as a work of translation. The man called Uva is a 60-year-old widower. Not only has he recently lost his wife to cancer, but he has also been forced into retirement by the company he gave over 4 decades of his life to. He has even been ousted from his position as the chairman of the neighborhood association. Replaced by his former friend Runa, nothing left to live for, he attempts suicide but is interrupted by his new neighbors, Iranian immigrant Parvana, her Swedish husband and their 2 children. Uva is a curmudgeon, that's a grumpy old man. But over the course of the story, Parvana's warmth and enthusiasm seem to melt his hard shell. This is a quirky, heartwarming tale that weaves magic with everyday incidents. Yes, even the suicide attempts are oddly humdrum, until things come to a head with an unexpected turn of events. This 2012 book also has its share of wisdom. Let me quote some of it for you. Death is a strange thing. People live their whole lives as if it does not exist, and yet it's often one of the great motivations for living. Some of us in time become so conscious of it that we live harder, more obstinately, with more fury. Some need its constant presence even to be aware of its antithesis. Others become so preoccupied with it that they go into the waiting room long before it has announced its arrival. We fear it, yet most of us fear more than anything that it may take someone other than ourselves. For the greatest fear of death is always that it will pass us by and leave us there alone. So wise, so touching, what a concept, going into the waiting room long before death has announced its arrival, instead of living life to the fullest. Then of course there is the fear of losing loved ones. Here's one last brief quote. We always think there's enough time to do things with other people, time to say things to them. And then something happens, and then we stand there holding on to words like, if. Wow. Tell the people you love that you love them. And of course, read great books. Don't have regrets. Before we go, I'll tell you about the first ever novel. The Tale of Genji, a 1,000-year-old Japanese epic written by Murasaki Shikibu, a woman author, is considered by many to be the first novel in history. The book recounts the life of Hikaru Genji, the son of Emperor Kiritsubo, and a concubine called Kiritsubo Consort. The story focuses on Genji's romantic life and describes the customs of the aristocratic society of the time. Through reading, you can explore faraway lands, steep yourself in other cultures, time travel, meet extraordinary people, fall in love with some of them, and most importantly, get insights about your own life as you go on a journey of self-discovery. Of course, it goes without saying, there is no better way to improve your English. This brings us to the end of the concluding part of my video on book recommendations. If you have a favorite novel, do mention it below. And if you haven't read the books on my list, I hope you will soon. Do subscribe to me on YouTube, click on the bell icon too. Happy reading. I'm the English Nut. Bye for now.